Hi and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Tim. I upload new videos every week that are all about running. Today I've got a running shoe comparison video for you. It's two daily trainers, one by Saucony, it's their Triumph 18, and one by Hoka, their Clifton 7. I'm going to take these out to my local state park for a run, and then when I get back, we'll sit down, we'll talk about them, see which one of these shoes might be right for you. Oh, and if you want to skip ahead to the part of the video that's of most interest to you, I try to make it as easy as possible. All you have to do is open the description and then you'll see chapters that are laid out. Click on the timestamp for the topic that you want to watch and it'll take you right there. I always enjoy running out at the state park. You know, it's the perfect place for me to do these running shoe reviews because they have a little bit of everything. They're quite the proving ground. You know, I've got some pavement, some dirt roads, as well as some trails, so I can really test these shoes out in a variety of running conditions. And if you want to take a look at either one of these shoes in greater detail individually, I'll put a link in the description below that'll take you right to those reviews. The Triumph 18 is the heavier of the two shoes. For a men's size 9 on my scales, it came in at 11.1 ounces or 315 grams, while the Hoka Clifton 7 came in at 9 ounces on my scale or 225 grams. Now there is a difference in cost. The Saucony Triumph 18 cost $150 US, while the Hoka Clifton 7 cost $130 US. I'm going to start by taking a look at the uppers on these two shoes, starting with the Triumph 18. And you can see that it has lots of perforations up in that toe box. I felt like there was plenty of room there for my toes. And those perforations go back to just about the midfoot. Now, consequently, this shoe does run a little bit warm underfoot. And you can see that it has a little bit of a plastic overlay, which is their Saucony logo that sprawls across that midfoot section of the shoe, all the way back to their heel counter, where it has some plastic overlays to give it a little extra durability. Now turning and looking at the Hoka, you can see that they too have lots of perforations up in that toe box. You know, I felt like both shoes had plenty of room for my toes, and both of the uppers were comfortable underfoot. Now they continue their perforations all the way back to the heel collar of the shoe, and you can see that their plastic overlay doesn't really start until you get to the heel counter, and you can see their Hoka logo back there with a little bit of a plastic overlay around that heel counter as well. Now, both of these shoes I felt ran a little bit warm underfoot. The biggest difference between these two shoes for their uppers for me is that the Hoka Clifton 7, that material seems to be a bit more stretchy. So when I was trying to get a really good lockdown feel that was sustainable throughout my run, I had a little bit of trouble. It felt really comfortable snugging it up when I first took off on my run, but it didn't take long or very many miles into my run experience before I felt like that upper started to loosen up a little. I didn't have that issue with the Saucony Triumph 18 at all. Once I cinched up my laces, I felt pretty snug and pretty locked down the entire time that I was running in them. So let's look at the lacing system on these two shoes, and you can see that they're almost identical. They're very traditional. They have some plastic overlays on the outside of the eyelet chain as well as on the inside cage to give it some extra durability. The one difference that is notable here are the laces that come with the shoes, and you'll see with the Saucony Triumph 18 that they have a real puffy lace, while the Hoka Clifton 7 has a more traditional lace that they send with their shoes. Now, the tongue on both of these shoes are very well padded. The Triumph 18 has a little bit more padding in that tongue area, and both are gusseted, so you don't have to worry about the tongue on either shoe migrating around while you're out running. Turning and looking at the padding around the heel collar and tab of each of these shoes, the Triumph 18, that padding seems to extend from that heel collar and tab almost all the way down to the footbed. So lots of padding in that area for you to keep you comfortable while you're out running. While the Hoka Clifton 7 has plenty of padding as well, it's more concentrated in that heel collar and tab area. Also, you'll notice on the Hoka Clifton 7 where they have this Achilles heel flare that extends quite a ways, but you can use that to help you get your shoe on as well. Looking at the heel counter on both of these shoes, they both have some plastic overlays that give it some extra stability to create a nice heel pocket for a heel to set in. But between the two, the Saucony Triumph 18 is a little bit stiffer or stouter in that heel counter than the Hoka Clifton 7. Both of these shoes have removable insoles. The Triumph 18 has a form-fit insole, while the Hoka Clifton 7 has an ortholite insole, but they're pretty comparable to one another, and they add a little extra cushion to your run experience. Now let's look at the midsole of these shoes. So we have the Hoka Clifton 7 that has a 32 millimeter stack height in the heel of their EVA foam, and a 27 millimeter stack height in the forefoot for a 5 millimeter offset from the heel to the toe. Compare that to the Saucony Triumph 18 that has a 32.5 millimeter stack height in its heel and a 24.5 millimeter stack height in the forefoot for an 8 millimeter offset from the heel to the toe. And Saucony's using their PWRRUN Plus foam, which they consider to be their softest or most cushioned foam to date. So both of these shoes have a lot of foam underfoot. They give you a very nice, soft, cushion feeling when you're out running, giving you the ability to put on a lot of miles really comfortably in each of these shoes. But one of them I prefer to run in over the other, and I'll talk about that when I get to the performance of the shoes. So now let's flip these shoes over and we'll take a look at the outsoles to see how they're protecting all of that soft, cushioned foam that you have underfoot. With Hoka, they have put blown rubber in all of the high abrasion areas, so around the heel and then in that forefoot section of your shoe. And they're leaving that middle section, EVA foam, pretty much exposed. Now contrast that with Saucony and Triumph 18 that has their carbon rubber from the heel to the toe, protecting all of that PWRRUN Plus foam that you have underfoot. Also, you'll notice that on the midfoot of each of these shoes, both companies included these cutouts or grooves, if you will, and that's simply to help you feel a little more natural underfoot and help your gait cycle feel a little more smooth as you transition from your heel to your toe. So let's talk about what it's like to run in these shoes. Both give you a lot of cushion. Again, the Saucony Triumph 18, I felt like I got a better lockdown on the upper. But in terms of the midsoles, they're both pretty soft, pretty comparable in terms of the cushioning underfoot. However, With the Hoka Clifton 7, they've included their what they call their meta rocker technology. And in this case, it's supposed to be an early stage meta rocker that encourages you to go quicker through your gait cycle. But what I found is that midsole is pretty darn stiff. Now, I've run in some carbon plated racing shoes that aren't or doesn't feel quite as stiff as these do. So it somewhat inhibited my gait cycle. I didn't feel like I was getting really any help that way. Now contrast that to the Saucony Triumph 18, and theirs is a much more flexible forefoot, so I felt like I could move a little quicker. Even though this shoe is heavier, 2 ounces heavier on foot, I felt like it was just more natural. So you can see that there's a lot of give here. There's a lot of flexibility in that forefoot. And to me, even though it's a heavier shoe, it just felt a little more natural underfoot and a little more comfortable. So consequently, when I've been looking for my easy run shoe for that particular day, I've been picking up the Triumph 18 probably 2-to-1 over the Hoka Clifton 7. Hey, that's my experience. I've enjoyed making this video for you. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, maybe give it a thumbs up. As always, run tall, run strong, be kind to one another. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.